A-90 killing Giggle, blowing up your enemies, an item with infinite durability. These are just some of the new secret features added in the latest Doors update, that being Ranked Mode. Essentially, in case you weren't aware, Ranked Mode was actually using a newer build of the game, meaning it actually contains some new features that, although aren't currently present in the main game, they will be coming in a future update. Recently, I made a video documenting some of the new secret updates added to Ranked Mode, that will eventually be added to the main game. However, now I have discovered even more with the help of all of you guys. So, in this video, I'll be going over even more secret changes that came to Doors in the latest update. So, with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so the first new secret update I want to discuss is a very special entity interaction, that being A-90 attacking Giggle. You heard me right, it sounds crazy, but just hear me out here. Essentially, certain entities in the game can interact with each other in rare circumstances, and when this occurs, it is known as an entity interaction. Before this update, Giggle only had one entity interaction, and that was with Figure. If a thrown Giggle managed to get into the same room as Figure, the entity would hear them laugh, run over to them, and stomp them. This is actually currently bugged in-game though, so it doesn't work. However, it will be fixed in a future update. Now, in Ranked Mode, another secret entity interaction has been added, that being one between Giggle and A-90. As you may know, by throwing a glow stick at a Giggle, they'll be temporarily stunned. However, this feature also exists for all of the ranged projectiles in Ranked Mode. Many of you are familiar with how shooting a Giggle with the Golden Blaster item stuns it. But if you simply throw any type of bomb at them, such as the knock bomb, they will be stunned as well. This even works for things like the throwable props found throughout the various rooms, as well as the banana peel, oddly enough, which is technically a ranged projectile. So, with this in mind, how does A-90 come into play? Well, one of the new items introduced in Ranked Mode is the Stop Sign, an item which not only can be used to bonk nearby players over the head, but it will automatically summon A-90 onto every player's screen when used. Although it is tricky to pull off, you can actually use the stop sign to bonk a Giggle over the head, causing them to be stunned. And given how the item summons A-90 onto every player in the game, when the Giggle is hit with it, it is implied A-90 is spawned for them as well because, well, they were hit with A-90's stop sign. So, although we can't technically see A-90 and Giggle interact, using the stop sign on the Giggle is implied to spawn A-90 onto the entity, which is a pretty cool feature. Stepping away from Giggles, though, the next secret update I want to discuss is a rather explosive one. As you may recall, when Floor 2 released, one of the new features added was Fire Damp. This is a flammable gas that could periodically spawn in rooms via fissures on the ground. And in addition to suffocating players who stood in it long enough, upon using a lighter inside of it would cause you to straight up explode and instantly perish. Now, something interesting about this Fire Damp lighter explosion is that it only affected the one holding the lighter, meaning if you stood right next to an exploding player, you wouldn't be harmed. However, this was actually secretly updated in this new Ranked Mode event. In the new game mode, upon using a lighter in a Fire Damp room, the explosion will actually now damage nearby players in addition to taking away some of your health. Meaning this could be an effective offensive tool of eliminating other players with lower health. I will say though, that just one explosion will completely destroy your lighter, so each explosion must be used precisely. Moving on though, the next change I want to talk about regards the Crucifix. As you may know, this item was given an updated animation in the latest event. However, another sneaky change was also implemented into it when it is used on eyes. Whenever you use the Crucifix on eyes now, they will no longer be able to spawn for the remainder of the playthrough. This is actually pretty game-changing, as eyes is one of the most persistent threats in ranked mode. So if you can crucify just one of them, they will no longer be a problem. However, in addition to that, upon crucifying eyes, the Lookman entity, who functions very similar to them, is also unable to spawn for the remainder of the run. The Lookman is harder to spot and more deadly than the normal version of eyes, and I know I've fallen victim to their attacks multiple times. So for us to finally have the option to completely get rid of them is definitely very useful. Before this update, crucifying eyes was just seen as a joke, as they were very easy to avoid, but now crucifying them may be something you want to focus your attention to. Next up, we have another secret change coming to a pre-existing item in the game, that being the skeleton key. Now, although many of you are familiar with how this item opens up skeleton doors in the hotel, it also has another more obscure use. You see, the skeleton key actually functions pretty much the exact same as the lockpick, as it can be used to open locked doors in the hotel as well as locked loot containers. Now, although this is all fine and dandy, this hidden mechanic was actually changed in ranked mode. So now, instead of just acting like one lockpick, the skeleton key acts as infinite. Yeah, that's right, you can use this item an endless amount of times in ranked mode, meaning once you obtain it, you'll never have to search for the key in locked rooms ever again. Now, although I do think this is a very fun and nice addition to ranked mode, I do have a controversial thought about it regarding its addition to the main game. If you weren't aware, the developers stated how they want to bring this infinite skeleton key functionality to the main game in a future update, but I just don't think that's a good idea. This is because not only are locked rooms a key part of the game's progression, as it's basically the only puzzle you have to overcome during the normal gameplay, so this just completely bypasses that, but also because if the skeleton key had infinite uses, it could infinitely just be used to open locked loot containers, meaning just one of these items allows every other incredibly rare item to be obtained quite easily from these containers, which isn't that balanced. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think the idea of upgrading the skeleton key so it isn't just a one-time use lockpick is quite a nice concept, but making it usable infinitely many times seems a little too unfair. So, as a compromise, I think the skeleton key should be able to be used like a normal lockpick 3 to 5 times before breaking. In the normal gameplay, I'm fine with how it's infinite in ranked mode, as that way it's still more versatile than the lockpick but not extremely broken. Anyways, those were even more secret changes added in the new ranked mode update indoors. To summarize, Giggles can now be attacked by all ranged projectiles as well as the stop sign, which implies that A-90 can attack them as well. Additionally, fire damp explosions can now damage nearby players to the one who ignited the lighter. The Crucifix being used on eyes prevents that entity, as well as the Lookman from spawning for the remainder of the playthrough, and the skeleton key may have infinite uses, which I think should be nerfed in the main game. I'm pretty sure that's about all of the new secret updates I haven't mentioned before that will possibly be coming to the main game. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what other secrets you found in this update that I missed, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoy.